Beis ubiyur ha'inyan hu, and the explanation of the idea is Dihine Amru Razal. Our sages said, Psachim Daf Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph, Rabba Mikmei de Pasach Lul Rabbanan. The Rabba, before he opened to the sages with his words of Torah, Amar Milsa de Bedichusa Bedachu Rabbanan, that he would say words of laughter. He would say a joke, and it would Bedachu Rabbanan, make the rabbis laugh. And in the end, he would sit in trepidation, upasach b'shmaita, and would open the discussion. That the one who's giving over has to open up to the rabbis, has to preface. That is to make the one who's receiving fitting to receive the flow by opening up the vessels and the senses and their senses. And you have to open up to the shmaita is the teachings. The shmaita is what you've heard. The Torah Shebal Peh, the oral tradition, in order so that the flow you give should be something comparable to the one who's receiving it, that they should have some kind of connection to it. And for this reason, so therefore, before he opened up to the rabbis to make them a vessel to receive, Amar Milsa de Bedichusa, he said words of laughter, Milsa de Bedichusa, Husichas Chulin. And these words of laughter are mundane words. And even though that even the mundane words of the Torah scholars need to be studied, since they have in them great wisdom and deep ideas, nonetheless, it's still an external idea in comparison to the inner the knowledge and flow he's going to give later of Torah. And even though someone who's even greater, their mundane words are also on a higher level, that you can learn from them a number of wondrous things. And even though this is only the that which falls, the dregs alone, that which is withered and falls away from him alone, and not the not the thing itself. But nonetheless, they themselves are the body of wisdom. The sages said in Ksubos that the language of the sages is blessing. The language of the sages is riches. Lashon Chachamim Marpei. The language of the sages is healing. V'hu shimush shel Torah, and that is the shimush of Torah, the serving, the serving of Torah, to serve and be a servant of. In actuality, as opposed to limud, as opposed to learning Torah, you also want to be mishamesh the Torah. You want to be mishav misharav, like misharis, to do mundane things for the rabbi, wash his hands and so forth, like Elisha Teliyahu. V'amru Razal, and our sages said, Brachos Tav Zayin Amud Beis, in Gemara Brachos, Gedola Shimusha Shel Torah Yoser Milimuda, that serving Torah is greater than its study. Mamar, like it says, Mamar, Po Elisha ben Shaphat asher Yitzchok ma'im al yidei Eliyahu, that here we have Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who poured water on the hands of Eliyahu. Lamad lo nemar ela Yitzchok, it doesn't say that he learned from him, rather he poured. Melamed shigedola shimusha Yossef milimuda. So that teaches us that the service is greater than the study. V'hini lebesof yasiv be'masa upasach b'shmaita, but nonetheless, in the end, Rabbi would sit down in trepidation and open the study. The limud Torah tzarich lihiyos biras shamayim, that the study of Torah needs to be with the fear of heaven. U'k'mayim, like our sages said, ma'laholam be'ema bira beretas u'v'zeah afkan chulu, that just like then it was with fear and trembling and trepidation and bezeah, and with sweating afkan chulu, so to here when we study we should have the same effect. That just like by the giving the Torah it's written, that the nation saw and they were moved and they stood from afar. So too, in the time of study of Torah, you have to be in a great state of nullification and in great fear. Aval kodem, but before, the rabbi has to open up the senses of the receiver, and that's through the words of laughter. And it's known that the general concept of this joke in front of the study is to elevate the students and lift them up, that they should be in a comparable level in order to receive the flow, in order to give, that the one who's giving should be able to give to them. The Rav Talmid inam be'erech zelazeh, that the rabbi and a student in truth are not on the same level at all, and not even comparable to one another. When the student needs to be in a nullified state in front of the rabbi, Mamar. And like our sages said, that any Torah scholar that sits in front of the rabbi, and their lips are not dripping with myrrh, which refers to a state of complete nullification, who knows and therefore, in order to draw them close and bring them to that nullified state, you have this joke, who knows in koach ba'at talmid. This gives strength to the student, that he should be able to receive the words of his rabbi. And in general, it affects the opening of the heart and mind of the student, that he should be a vessel for receiving. And even though this is an external concept, this external is a preface to the inner, that through this drawing close of the rabbi, that he jokes with them, through this specifically they're able to receive this flow. Pnimis, this inner flow, the pasach b'shmaita of opening up with the study. Malderech mashal ben yanik v'katan, and also allegorically like a young child who's nursing, when the father wants to play with him face to face, and the child is small, the father needs to bring down his hands, shem gavohim, which are all the way up, and higher than the head of the child, ad lemata metachas hatinok, until below, underneath the child, ulhagbio ad rosho, and to lift him up towards his head, ad rosho shelav, till the head of the father, vazidaber vishtasha imo panim bepanim, and then he will speak to him and play with him face to face. So this drawing down of the kindness of the father, bashpalas yadav, when he brings down his hands, huchitzonius, is an external act, shurak lag biasatinok, that it's only in order to lift up the child. So too the child does not receive anything from this act alone of lifting up. Because in this itself there's no flow. That the flow and enjoyment with the son is only afterwards, only when he's already lifted him up. It's only that you cannot have the flow in closeness and in an inner way, without first drawing close and lifting up the receiver, which is the external drawing close, which is for the purpose of the inner flow. So in short, we explained that Rabbah, before he opened up in teaching to the rabbis, in order to make them vessels that were fitting for receiving, the flow he was going to give them b'Torah, he would say to them words of laughter, to lift up the receivers, in order so that they should receive the flow that he was giving them. And in actuality, this external concept has a greater quality than the study. When you mishamish the Rav in an external way, even though it's an external concept in comparison to the inner flow, but this itself is a preface to the inner. So there's a juxtaposition here of two ideas. First, we say that the novelos chachma shel maila, that the external ideas of the rabbi that are also flow. That the tzrichim limud, they still need to be studied, even though they're not the main thing. On the other hand, we say that exactly the opposite, that that the external has a quality that's greater than the flow that's afterwards. So novlos chachma shel maila Torah, that the flow from above, that the, so to speak, the dregs of Hashem's wisdom is Torah, it's external. So we might say that there's it's a concept of shimush shel Torah. It's has a high quality to it because it's a concept of shimush shel Torah. And the other, so that's the first mashal, is the hashpah from the Rav, and the joke. And the second mashal, kedugmas ha'av ha'meidim espeno, is the allegory of a father that lifts up his son, hakatan, the small child, imo, to play with him, bekiruv panim bepanim, in closeness, face to face.